Weekly, our conversation with Booger McFarland is brought to you by Central Plumbing Company. There is a showdown in Raymond James Stadium this Sunday night between the Saints and the Bucs. First place of the NFC South is on the line. Antonio Brown will be there. Will Mike Thomas be there? What impacts will both wide receivers make? We'll talk to Booger McFarland now here on OTB, who is a face and voice of both the NFL and college football for ESPN. Boog, good morning. How are you, man?
Outstanding. What's going on, guys?
Who has a bigger impact this Sunday night on the game, Antonio Brown or Mike Thomas?
Well, I don't know if Mike Thomas is going to show up, so until I know that, I have to go with Antonio Brown.
Wow. Is there smoke around Mike Thomas? Hold up. What do you buy into this Mike Thomas stuff that he is hurt and that they're keeping him out because of injury purpose? Because they're starting to get a little smoke down here in this part of the country that things aren't working out way between both sides, between Thomas and between the organization, and that they may be shopping him. Do you buy into that?
Yeah, a little bit. Here's why. So if you go back to the fight between Thomas and Gardner Johnson, the word I got was it was really heated after the fight between Mike Thomas and the coaching staff, and that's why he was sent home. He wasn't necessarily sent home because he hit a teammate.
Yeah.
He was sent home because of the reaction after he hit the teammate. And subsequently, he was supposed to come back, apologize. Everything was going to be all right. Then all of a sudden, the ankle pops up. And now I think what it is, it's an old school pissing match between the organization who wants Mike Thomas to play and needs Mike Thomas, and Mike Thomas who needs Drew Brees and needs to get out there and play and earn his money. And it's kind of like a stare down, who needs who the most, who's going to kind of, I wouldn't say bow down, but who's going to kind of lean toward, hey, mending the fences, so to speak. Is he hurt? I don't know. But it's been a long time for an ankle injury. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I know that the Saints have made stars out of people like Lance Moore and Robert Meacham, but doesn't the player mean more in this scenario, Thomas? Isn't he? I mean, he's a game changer, right?
Well, first of all, Lance Moore is not a star, so let's back off of that a little bit.
Not a star,
right?
not a star, but he functioned in this offense.
He played over his he put up numbers sometime.
Okay, Lance Moore and Meacham were good players. Michael Thomas is arguably a top 5 receiver in the league. That's a totally different category. So both sides need each other. If Michael Thomas is thinking I can leave New Orleans and go get 190 targets from somewhere else, okay, good luck with that. If New Orleans is thinking, okay, I can win without Michael Thomas this season, okay, you're beating some kind of middle of the road teams, middle of the road. Are you going to be able to beat some of the better teams? Both sides need each other. Both sides need to come together and mend the fences. If it's going to happen, I think it's going to have to be a little bit more from Michael Thomas's side, because if you're Sean Payton has had Michael Thomas before. His name was Marcus Costa. So Sean has always been able to find a number one receiver. Can Michael Thomas find a Hall of Fame quarterback that's going to throw it to him 190 times a season? I don't know. And so that's why I think if you're Michael Thomas, here's what you got to do. You got to look yourself in the mirror, swallow your pride a little bit. You shouldn't have popped off at the coaching staff. Control your temper. You go in there, you apologize, you collect your $17, $18 million a year, and you enjoy the final few games or few years of Drew Brees, depending on how long he stays in place.
I mean, look, to be fair, Buck, I think that's what Jordy was getting at when you talk about being able to find a number one receiver. What about the Antonio Brown thing here? Give us the NFL player perspective. What, he's going to have, I think, a week, I think 2 full practices. Basically, he's had a little over a week to learn this playbook. Like, what's a realistic kind of rep count or role for him here in this first game?
25, 30, 35 plays. He's been with Brady a long time. He's living with Brady 2 weeks. He's been around. He's had the playbook. So I don't think it's unrealistic to have a 25 to 30 to 35 play package for him. And Brady's going to get him the football. And, Chris Godwin's out. So guess what? It's Mike Evans. It's Antonio Brown. It's some of the other young guys, Scotty Miller. But at the end of the day, this is a national television game. We all understand that the NFL is about entertainment. And at some point, Antonio Brown and Tom Brady are going to connect. And if you're New Orleans, now what do you do? Because this was always going to be the question. Because New Orleans has always put Lattimore on Mike Evans. Okay, so who we putting on Antonio Brown? Janoris Jenkins?
Nope.
Okay, so now who's checking Scotty Miller? So it's a lot to deal with. Oh, and by the way, you got Rob Gronkowski roaming in the middle of the field. So now you start to get to see what Tampa can do. Now, on the flip side, when Michael Thomas is back, New Orleans will say, okay, well, we'll see you, Michael. We'll see you, Antonio Brown and Mike Evans with Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, and Cook.
Yep.
So it's a very interesting battle. That's why I hope everybody's at full strength and everybody's ready to go. You got Antonio Brown getting up to speed. You got Michael Thomas dealing with some pride, quote unquote, issues. So hopefully both sides can work out those issues and get ready for Sunday night.
All right, Boog. Do you just want to go ahead and do what I know you want to do right now? Talk about the biggest AFC game of the last slate and how it went down.
Well, T-Bob,
Steelers Ravens.
Listen, I'm not that guy. Here's what I'll say to you, and this is what I've said to you for the longest, is that do you feel confident that when Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have to go to the drop-back passing game that they can win? Because every time that I've seen him, and this is not a knock on him. I'm not hating on Lamar Jackson. But if you told me I could have Lamar Jackson as a runner, I'd take him over any quarterback in the league. If you told me that I have to take Lamar Jackson, the passer, I'm not sure he's top 10. And that's just the reality of the situation. They rushed for 265 yards, and he turned the football over 4 times. He threw 2 interceptions that were really very, very poor decisions. One was a pick 6. So he has the potential, T-Bob, to be a really, really good player in this league. But until he develops as a passer, he's just going to be another athlete playing the position of quarterback. And he's done it well. He won an MVP that way because he shocked the league. But year 2, as we always talk about, the NFL gets film on you. Year 2, it doesn't look like it did last year, does it? And that's all I'll say.
It is a little interesting, but when you look at the box score, because for the Ravens, and this also reinforces kind of as a team how they're at the point where they beat all the bad teams that they should beat, and they really struggle to win against the top competition in the playoffs and stuff. But when you look at the box score, they outperform Pittsburgh in nearly every single metric, save for turnovers. So, in this game, is it as simple as Lamar Jackson cleaning that up, and then the Ravens would have won this game?
Well, it sounds simple, T-Bob, but think about this. You can have a great day on your diet. I mean, you can eat egg whites for breakfast.
Yep.
You can have a salad for lunch.
Yeah.
You can eat a nice piece of salmon and green beans for dinner.
Wow.
But around midnight, when you go back and get the golden Oreos, doesn't it kind of, that kind of balances things out, right?
Yeah, you're not supposed to eat right before you go to
day.
sleep either. That's a good point.
Right. So, you can dominate the day, but in the end, those golden Oreos tip the scale back toward, Earth's favor. Baltimore dominated the ground game, but those turnovers kind of tipped it back toward Pittsburgh. So, yeah, it's as simple as saying clean the turnovers up. But how many times have you fell victim to the golden Oreo rush when you're laying in the bed around 11:30? We've all done it.
I like that you're saying golden Oreos as well, because I'm with you. I do believe them to be the premier Oreo choice out there.
I agree.
Booger McFarland, compliments of Central Plumbing Company every week here on ESPN, Baton Rouge, New Orleans, and Alexandria. What the hell's going on in New England?
Just right now, I think Bill Belichick said it best. If you listen to him, oftentimes people will tell you exactly what's going on. Well, listen, Bill said over the last 5 years, we sold out to win, and we did at a high level. We won 3 Super Bowls, we went to a 4, and we went to an AFC title game. And right now, because of COVID, because of some of our players opting out, our team isn't as strong as we need it to be. It's not an excuse. It's the reality. If Cam Newton doesn't fumble that football, it's a whole different tone today.
Yeah.
But I think in the end, man, New England will probably miss the playoffs this year. But if you're telling me that the dynasty's over as far as them being successful consistently, I'm going to disagree with that. They'll be back. They'll get Hightower and Sean back next year. They just got to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback. I don't know if it's Cam Newton. I don't know who it is, but they'll figure it out. Bill Belichick didn't all of a sudden fall off his rocking chair and all of a sudden become an inept coach. He'll be back. They'll be fine. It probably won't be this year, though.
We know that the Saints are in win-now mode. Does the Quan Alexander trade mean anything to you?
Yeah, because as much as I like my good buddy Alex Anzalone, he's a step slow. And when you get ready to go against some of the teams in this league on the upper end, teams that got speed, Quan Alexander adds that. And so now you get more speed on the field, more speed in the middle of the field. So I think it's going to be a plus.
Miami, Arizona, one of the kind of sneaky good games this weekend, both teams winning records. But I just want to ask you about Tua and Miami and whether or not, because like that team kind of almost feels playoff ready. Flores has done a hell of a job. Did they make the right choice in switching over to Tua?
You know, conventional wisdom says no, but here's what you got to ask yourself if you're Miami. Are we a Super Bowl team this year? And the answer to that is probably no. So if you're Miami, here's what you got to figure out this year then. Okay, can we stay with Fitzpatrick, maybe win the East, maybe get into the first round of playoffs? Are we going to be any deeper than that? Probably not. So what did we gain besides a little bit of success?
Yeah.
I think the ultimate goal is to win a championship. And so in order to do that, they got to figure out what they have in Tua. And here's the reason why. They're going to have Houston's pick this year. Houston's pick is probably going to be top 3 or 4. If Tua is the answer, now you use that pick a certain way. If Tua is not the answer, you got to go back and you got to go quarterback. So they got to figure out what they got in Tua, and it sounds like counterproductive to say you have a playoff team, but we're not going to take advantage of it. You're going to sacrifice short-term success for long-term stability, but that's kind of what you got to do when you're Chris Greer, the GM.
Boog, I'm sorry to box you in with a minute left on this because I was very curious on your thoughts. What do you do if you're LSU? What are your thoughts on LSU, and what's your message to your program?
Well, I've sent my message, and the people that need to know it. But here's what I will say: it was embarrassing what happened on Saturday, and I think there has to be a reckoning inside the locker room. And I know it sounds really dramatic because we're 9 months removed from a national championship. But when you talk about sustained excellence and sustained success, then you can't have the low lows. And I think right now we all knew this year was going to be not as good as last year. But you didn't expect Auburn to beat you 48-11 when Auburn is probably a middle-of-the-pack team. And to me, this comes right back to the guy that's making all the money, Coach Ed Orgeron. Because if we can pat you in the back for the job that you did last year, then you got to be able to take some of the bullets when it's not going so well. And there are rumblings of team chemistry. There are rumblings of culture. All those are things that come back to the head coach, and he's got an answer for that. Defensively, I get it. The safeties are terrible. Guess what? You got to deal with the guys that you recruited. You got to coach them up better. That comes down to Bo Pelini and Corey Raymond. I think both of those guys have good coaching pedigree. Now it's time for you to go out and coach the guys up. But at the end of the day, guys, here's what it boils down to. And I said this a couple months ago. There are teams on LSU's schedule that are going to try to embarrass them. Auburn was up 30, and they threw a 90-yard touchdown pass because Gus Malzahn wants to embarrass LSU. After the video that was posted after the Alabama game, Nick Saban will hang 70 on LSU if he can. So where is the pride of the program at? Like, that's what I'm looking for next week. I don't know if LSU's talented enough right now to beat Alabama. But where is the pride that should stand up in that locker room, being a defending national champion? Yeah, you're going to probably start a freshman at quarterback next week. Nobody's expecting you to beat Alabama. But where is the damn pride at? Like, where is the pride in your program to go out and compete? And I think that boils down to the seniors, the people in that locker room, and more importantly, it comes down to the head coach, because every team is a direct reflection of the coaching staff, and the coaching staff is a direct reflection of the head coach. And I think it all comes down to Ed Orgeron, and can he get his team to respond against Alabama? Because are we expecting you to beat Alabama? Let's be honest. I don't think anybody in America is expecting that. Are we expecting you to go out and compete your ass off? Absolutely. So that's what I'm looking for.
Have a good week. Have a good call this weekend on television. We'll see you and talk next Wednesday.
I will do. And T-Bob, I'm getting on the Peloton right now, so I will set a standard for you to try and achieve, good buddy.
Hey, I'm getting closer, Boog. I'm closing the gap.
Golden Oreos. Close
Watch
out
out.
hour one next.